Since the United States of American Air Force concluded their airstrike, in the land of Iran, in an operation called Operation Midnight Hammer, since then, it has been threat upon threat, threat upon threat. A lot of threat has been coming from the Republic of Iran over what they are going to do next to Israel, what they are going to do to the United States of America, and ever since then, Iran and Israel have been exchanging high-profile missiles. Iran has been sending long-range, short-range missiles into the land of Israel. A lot of cities are catching fire, while Israel continuously, continue to target Tehran, the capital city, government institutions, as well as their military sites. This has continued to go on. And there are also other speculations on whether North Korea is going to render nuclear weapon help to Iran, since both countries have, very beautiful ties. This very speculation is coming all the way after it has been established that Russia is not going to step into this very war. But before we get into details, there is something that is worth talking about. In the last hours, the United States of American Air Force, or better still, the government of the United States of America, has announced the arrival of the fleet of the B-2 stealth, bunker-busting bomb aircraft that actually went for the Operation Midnight Hammer in Iran. They arrived after spending about 37 hours on air, non-stop. It is safe to say at this point that it is hard to find a country in this physical world that can match, the operational and intelligent capability of the United States of America. This B-2 bunker-busting bombs, aircraft you see, traveled all the way down to Iran undetected. They entered the Iran airspace, got to their destination, executed their mission, dropped the bombs to the target undetected until they left Iran, airspace before even their military began to notice that something has happened. It is indeed something very commendable because the precision with which they carried out this target without involving civilians, there was no other damage elsewhere except their target, the three uranium enrichment sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. I will want you to watch this short video clip and I will take it right from there.
The mission began with deception. Under the cover of darkness, shortly after midnight, Operation Midnight Hammer launched early Saturday morning. 9 B-2 stealth bombers took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, but 2 acted as decoys, flying west over the Pacific for all to see and a scheduled refueling in the skies near Hawaii with a follow-on flight to Guam. But 7 B-2s did not fly west. They quietly peeled away and secretly flew east with minimal communication. Their destination? Iran's underground nuclear facilities. First into Iran were American fighter jets to also serve as decoys and draw fire from the Iranians. The B-2s then entered Iranian airspace at 6 p.m. Eastern, just after 2 a.m. local. 40 minutes later, 14 massive bunker-busting bombs were released by the B-2s. 12 hit the underground nuclear site in Fordo, 2 hit Natanz. At the same time, those 15-ton bombs from the B-2s hit their targets. 30 Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from a guided missile submarine slammed into Isfahan, with its centrifuges buried even deeper than Fordo. The strike package then bugged out of Iranian airspace and returned to their base in Missouri this afternoon to complete their 37-hour round-trip mission. The B-2s were refueled at least 3 times in midair each way. Over 125 aircraft were involved in the strike.
Well, to ramp up this very stage, North Korea has not offered to give any nuclear weapon help to Iran. Yes, North Korea clearly condemned US, airstrike at the enrichment facility of Iran. They condemned it holistically and called other member nations to rise up to condemn the attack. It is very clear and established that North Korea has a very sound tie with Iran. At this point, the government of North Korea has not made any further statement on how they are going to get involved in that very fight. But you must understand that North Korea is not the only country that has nuclear capacity or nuclear capabilities in the world. And also owing to the fact that North Korea's closest ally, which has a nuclear capacity as well, which is Russia, is going to be neutral in the whole, war game at this material time. So that could also be one of the reasons why North Korea may decide not to do anything. However, Iran is saying that they will be taking a look or borrowing some lessons from the North Korea nuclear weapons playbook. What does that mean? Many of you actually may not understand in clear terms what has happened and what is going on. United States of America insisted on attacking the uranium enrichment site of Iran simply because Iran claimed that their enrichment site is for making nuclear reactors in order to have nuclear energy. But unfortunately, the percentage of uranium enrichment, according to experts at that location, especially at Fordo, is way up to 60%. And when you have up to 60% uranium enrichment, it simply tells that you are no longer interested in making nuclear reactors or making simple civil, nuclear reactors that can give you nuclear energy, that you are aiming at producing nuclear weapon. Because the moment you enrich uranium up to 90%, that is the required level to start making nuclear weapons. Normal civil, uranium enrichment required for making nuclear reactors for the sake of electricity is just about 3 to 5% or maximum 20%. But when you begin to have up to 60% and above, it means you have other ulterior motives. And these were the grounds the United States of America and some other nation, especially Israel, insisted that nuclear program must be put to a stop. More so, the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is a United Nations Security Council nuclear program watchdog, complained that Iran is not complying with them on the inspection and on the proliferation demand for their nuclear reactors, which they claim they are making for nuclear energy. And all of this expert assessment, and recommendation to end the nuclear program of Iran is coming in because Iran is signatory to NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is an organization or a treaty that is aimed at preventing proliferation of nuclear weapons. This very treaty organization came into force in 1970, of which Iran is a member party to that. So by the virtue of the fact that Iran is signatory to that treaty, they should comply by what is required, in making a nuclear reactor or making a civil nuclear program, of which unfortunately, according to experts, they have not been compliant. Iran, therefore, is saying at this material time that they might be, learning, from the nuclear playbook of North Korea. North Korea is not signatory to the NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty. They were once members, but in 2003, they pulled off, and in 2006, they went further to test their nuclear weapons. However, some experts and public opinion are saying that if for any reason Iran owns a nuclear weapon, that they will not be patient enough, like we have some other countries that still possesses nuclear capabilities today, that at its slightest provocation, that Iran will go ahead to use their nuclear weapon. Don't forget that countries like United States of America, Russia, North Korea, India, Pakistan, Russia, Belgium, these countries, about 9 of them, as well as Israel, still possesses nuclear, capabilities, nuclear warheads. But, when a country becomes troublesome, if you look at the number of, the amount of insecurity, terrorism, threat coming from the Middle East, talk about Hamas, talk about Hezbollah, talk about Houthis and all of that. If eventually we begin to have, these nuclear, weapons at will by every country, I can tell you, you and I may not be alive to see it all. I can tell you, this is the 21st century, and we should begin to enjoy the benefit of civilization and technological advancement instead of bent on developing nuclear weapons, weapons of mass destruction that will end all of us, God forbid. So Iran is saying, which has been made public by some of their parliament members, that they might be pulling out of the NPT, treaty in order to have the liberty to develop their nuclear weapons and nuclear reactors, whichever way they want to do it. That being said, Iran is also going further to threaten the United States of America. In fact, they sent a threat to Donald Trump, when Donald Trump went for G7 summit in Canada. I think before that summit or during that summit, that they were going to deploy sleeper cells to the United States of America. And this is a very dangerous one. Sleeper cells, in a layman's understanding, these are a group of, very illicit, very dangerous individuals or group of persons who are deployed into a territory. They become very inactive. They are very dormant. They don't do anything. So they are always on awaiting activation mode. Their job is to be in that very locality, continue to share information until they are told to do what they have been assigned to do, either in form of terrorism, in form of suicide bombing. Many of you can remember how the 9/11 attack, happened in the United States of America. So Iran is saying that they will deploy this mechanism once more called the sleeper cell. So, and this calls for more tightening of borders and border security in the United States of America, as Donald Trump has already started doing since assumption of office. So this definitely will affect not only people from the Middle East, but people from the rest of the world, because border security will now be more scrutinized and more tight for people to come into the United States of America, since Iran has released that very threat. Other things Iran might possibly do is to begin to attack USA by proxy. I don't see Iran, having a direct attack to the United States of America. I mean, sending missiles from Iran to the US, it is almost impossible, because they may not be able to withstand what will come after them. You can imagine USA government deployed 125 aircraft just for that mission, Operation Midnight Hammer. And all of these aircraft got to their target, did their job, and came back successfully, undetected. So that will tell you how prepared American government, American Air Force, even the land soldiers are, in response to whatever Iran might try to do. So their attack will be mostly by proxy, attacking, member nations that America have interest in, attacking ships on the Red Sea, like the Houthis, the rebels have been doing, the Houthis, the Hamas, and, the Hezbollahs, they have been doing over time. So this may be their mode of operation, but not having a direct, combatant with the United States of America, as well as continuous attack on the soil of Israel. So I know that Iran has a very large stockpile of missiles, both short-range and long-range missiles. North Korea has been accused in the past of supporting them, helping them in building long-range and short-range missiles. And Iran have been begging North Korea to also assist them in developing nuclear weapons. But it may not be possible, because North Korea wouldn't want to proliferate their technology, the nuclear weapon technology in Iran, because if that is done, it means they have compromised the integrity of their own weapons. So North Korea will also be very, very careful in assisting Iran in doing some of these things. However, in the midst of all of this, we sincerely hope that peace will reign supreme at the end of the day. A lot of diplomatic missions are currently ongoing. Iranian foreign minister, I think today, will be meeting with Mr. Putin in Moscow for further discussion. I hope that peace comes out of the whole dialogue at the end of the day, even though a lot of people are saying that there might be surprises from Iran, coming out with a different form of attack. Well, we sincerely hope that whatever happens next does not escalate further than what has already happened. And at this point, I will allow you guys to be the judge. Don't forget to let me know what you think in the comment section, and share this video. My another person, Siam. God bless you.